How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Would you like it to be simpler to make friends? Or to persuade them to agree with you? Would you desire to strengthen your connections with friends, clients, and perhaps even family members? Then stop searching right here. The definitive manual for getting along with people and cultivating healthier, more rewarding relationships may be found in these pages. Learn practical, easy-to-use strategies that will help you achieve your goals in any circumstance. Learn why you should never criticize people, as well as what Al Capone can teach us about leadership and how dogs can help us make friends. Several connotations, including mob violence, corruption, and criminal protection rackets, likely come to mind when you hear the name Al Capone. Whatever you know about the infamous mobster, it's unlikely that you view him as a philanthropist or public servant. But only one person did, Capone. I have spent the best years of my life offering people the lighter pleasures, helping them have a good time, and all I get is abuse, the existence of a hunted man, he said, summarizing his experience. The renowned mob boss who terrorized Chicago thought he was a good man at heart. What are the lessons here? Like Al Capone, we tend to think we're right, regardless of what we've done. But if we find it difficult to be critical of ourselves, consider how we might react to criticism from others. Here, praise is more potent than criticism, which is the main takeaway. People become defensive when you criticize them, which is a problem. When they are told they are in the wrong, people tend to take it personally. It's in their nature to defend their actions. Even when criticism is well-intentioned, people may harbor long-lasting resentment toward the critic. What then is the answer? It's true that occasionally people need to be persuaded to modify their behavior. But what can we do if condemning them won't help? Simple, we should give them praise. Everyone wants to feel important and valued, and a few words of praise can help you achieve your goal more quickly than any number of critiques or complaints can. Charles Schwab, a tremendously prosperous steel tycoon, lived by such concept. Schwab claimed that his success in business was largely due to his capacity for managing people. Schwab made an effort to criticize others as little as possible, unlike the majority of prominent executives. He instead concentrated on lauding them. In his decades of business expertise, Schwab discovered that supporting and praising individuals yields much greater results than criticizing them. Praise strengthens our connections and motivates us to work harder and more effectively. Imagine this: after a long day at work, you arrive home to see your puppy rushing for you as you open the door. She is bouncing up in joy, and her tail is wagging. Your adorable furry companion makes you smile inexplicably. You will understand why people keep dogs as pets if you own one. Dogs make us feel good. Dogs are excellent friends because they are unable to conceal their love for humans. There is a lesson to be learnt from dogs, and it will make it easier for you to make friends. Make everyone you encounter feel interested and important is the main lesson here. What then would be the human equivalent of dog affection? How can you demonstrate your kindness to a new acquaintance while still earning hers? Well, you can start by giving up on attempting to be captivating. It is unsuccessful. Rarely do people show much interest in the specifics of another's lives or interests. They typically only care about themselves and their own life, though. So demonstrating your interest in someone who is a complete stranger will win them over quickly. How do you manage that? So, when you meet someone, start by genuinely expressing your joy. He should be greeted with a smile and enthusiasm. Remember his name, and be sure to say it when you speak to him. Simply put, let them know you're glad to have them around. Don't stop there, either. It's not enough to just be kind and interested in people if you want to actually leave a good impression. You must also give them a sense of importance. This lesson was acquired firsthand by a landscaping inspector who attended one of the author's workshops. The man once praised a customer for having excellent pedigree dogs, which sparked a lengthy discussion on the customer's love of dog breeding. The client gave the inspector an expensive, purebred dog as a parting gift because of the respect and sincere interest he showed. This helped to create a friendly professional relationship. You will frequently reap wonderful and unexpected benefits when you show that you genuinely care about other people and value their thoughts. President Abraham Lincoln called a longtime neighbor to the White House for counsel during the American Civil War. When he got there, Lincoln talked for hours on freeing the slaves in the South. Was it a wise decision? Would the nation as a whole respond favorably? Lincoln debated many options all night, weighing the advantages and disadvantages of each one. Without asking his old buddy for any advice, he finished what he was doing, thanked his neighbor, and sent him on his way. Lincoln had plenty of advisors, but he didn't really need one in the end. He required someone to listen to him. The main takeaway from this is to encourage others to speak up and pay close attention when they do. Like Lincoln, we all cherish attentive listeners, yet it frequently feels like there aren't enough of them. We all enjoy talking about our accomplishments, worries, histories, and future plans. However, it is not how you make friends. That is actually how you lose them. No one enjoys those who dominate conversations. Take the opposite approach if you want to make a good impression and win people over. Ask them to share with you about their lives and hobbies, and pay close attention to what they have to say. Do you want to make friends at work with a new guy? Ask him open-ended inquiries, such as how he likes his new job or if he has any hobbies, as he might love addressing them. Don't forget to pay attention. It would be better if you didn't encourage them to talk at all if you're going to appear disengaged and uninterested while they're talking. Take it from Theodore Roosevelt, who recognized that chatting with people about a subject they are interested in will always result in a friend. Every time he had a crucial meeting, Roosevelt would read a book on a subject that was dear to his visitor. He could then converse intelligently and amicably with anyone about their personal preferences and hobbies and interests. Roosevelt found it effective, but you don't necessarily need to do so much studying. Just share the spotlight, make inquiries, and pay close attention. Making friends will soon come naturally, and pulling people out will become second nature. How do you prevail in a debate? By tying up your opponent in useless debate? Through demonstrating the accuracy of your data and figures? Or by deftly pointing out a logical flaw in your adversary's argument? All of them are bad ideas. If you win a debate like that, your adversary will grow to dislike you, and if your adversary dislikes you, you can be sure he will never agree with you. Nobody prevails when disagreements escalate into full-fledged arguments. It's advisable to fully avoid them if you can. But since arguments might occasionally be unavoidable, it's a good idea to keep these pointers in mind if you ever find yourself having to defend your position. The essential takeaway from this is to disagree politely if you can avoid conflict. Never say you're wrong to someone when trying to persuade them that what you're saying is true. Being so direct in your argument won't convince your opponent to agree with you. She will instead take offense, stand firm in her beliefs, and make every effort to refute you. A quiet and compassionate approach has a much higher chance of working. Try to convince your opponent of your position by friendly inquiry rather than using force to do so. However, how do you convince someone who disagrees with you to work with you? The secret is to just accept the idea that you could be mistaken. Consider stating something like, I could be mistaken. Let's examine the data. This frequently suffices to disarm a resolute foe. And if it turns out that you were in fact mistaken, accept defeat graciously and make an effort to be the first to acknowledge your error. Preemptively owning up to your mistakes encourages others to take a more lenient approach. On the other hand, don't celebrate if it turns out that you were correct. If you present it as a humiliation, your opponent is not likely to change their mind. The Greek philosopher Socrates was skilled in the art of persuasion. He got people to agree to things they had never believed before by asking the right questions in the right ways. What was his secret? He made sure to put them in a positive frame of mind, though. That indicates that he trained them to always say yes. How did he manage to do that? First, he started talks with assumptions that were universally accepted. The conversations gradually veered into murkier ground after that. He increased his audience's likelihood of accepting the divisive ideas that followed by emphasizing the points on which everyone could agree. What, therefore, can we take away from Socrates? The main takeaway from this is to gain people initial agreement before gently leading them to your conclusions. It is wise to model your persuasiveness after Socrates. You have already won half the battle if you can get people to start nodding while you speak. On the other side, it is important to avoid saying no. It becomes exceedingly difficult to convince someone to change their mind once they reject one of your arguments. People frequently invest emotionally in defending beliefs they have publicly expressed. Their reputation for wisdom and sound judgment is at stake, after all. The same logic also explains why people like their own original ideas above those of others. We feel independent when we forward our own views. It can occasionally seem like taking commands when you accept someone else's. What then can you do with this knowledge? You could, however, assist others in coming to those conclusions on their own rather than attempting to persuade them that your opinions are the correct ones. You may frequently influence others to reach your conclusions on their own by getting them in an affirmative frame of mind and by asking questions that point them in the right direction. Colonel Edward M. House adopted such tactic during Woodrow Wilson's administration. Instead of providing Wilson direct advice, the colonel would inadvertently bring up a suggestion during discussion. Wilson's mental seed that Colonel House had planted over time would grow to the point where he frequently believed the strategy was wholly his own. Did House give him advice? Obviously not. He was aware that individuals favor their own thoughts above those of others. Jay Mangum was in a challenging circumstance. He needed to schedule some repairs at a hotel because he worked for an elevator maintenance company. The hotel manager didn't want to close the elevator for more than 2 hours, but Jay knew the work would take the whole day. What did Jay do then? Did he claim it was difficult to speed the repairs? No. He took a moment to consider the situation from the manager's perspective. Jay assured him that he recognized his need to maintain the guest's satisfaction. However, he emphasized that if the repairs weren't made right away, the elevator would eventually require much more extensive repairs. Naturally, the management approved of the 8-hour closure. The main idea here is, try to comprehend the perspectives of others. Jay was successful in persuading the manager to approve the renovations because he recognized his real worries. Jay was aware that the manager's top priority was to satisfy his visitors. Recognizing that, he was able to inform the manager that postponing the repairs would result in even greater inconvenience for them. Always try to look at things from another person's point of view. It can not only assist in resolving a challenging circumstance like Jay's, but it may also gain the support of others and create a great deal of goodwill. You see, the majority of people value compassion. Often, all it takes to put things right again when tensions mount and tempers start to flare is a sympathetic remark. Sometimes all it takes to calm a displeased client or irate friend is to say, "I absolutely get where you're coming from. I would experience the same emotions in your shoes." In fact, showing empathy for others might really help you control your impatience and aggravation in addition to making them feel good. You can become more tolerant of behaviors that once annoyed and angered you by becoming aware of the causes behind people's actions. The next time someone's behavior irritates you, take a moment to think about it from their perspective. Why may your coworker be taking it easy? Do you have any nice or considerate actions you might do to assist him in getting back on track? Although expressing sympathy isn't always simple, it's typically preferable to being furious for both you and the other person. On the first day of classes, Brooklyn, New York 4th grade teacher Ruth Hopkins received a surprise. The worst troublemaker in the school, Tommy, was suddenly a student in her newly allocated class, which shocked her. Tommy was intelligent, but he was also quite unruly. His last teacher had complained about him constantly. What would happen to Ruth? She fortunately had a strategy. Ruth went around the class on the first day and gave praise to each pupil. Ruth told Tommy that she had heard he was a born leader as she approached him. She claimed she was counting on him to make her 4th grade class the greatest of all the students that year. With such high expectations to uphold, Tommy's behavior quickly changed. Set the bar high and people will work hard to reach it, is the main takeaway from this. Humans enjoy being praised, and we detest disappointing those who have faith in us. When we praise someone's reputation, we can take advantage of the fact that we are both rewarding them for their past accomplishments and setting a high bar for their future work. To put it another way, if you want someone to acquire a certain trait, act as though they already do. Praise your child for sharing with others if you want her to be more giving. Create an image of her as a youngster who is giving and generous. When a dentist by the name of Dr. Martin Fitzhugh realized that the standards of his office cleaner appeared to be dropping, he employed exactly this strategy. A client had expressed displeasure over the condition of the dentist's metal cup holder. Even though it was only the cup holder, the error made Dr. Fitzhugh appear unprofessional. But instead of reprimanding his cleaner, he sent her a very sweet and thankful letter in which he thanked her for her hard work and praised her diligence. Then, as a quick aside, he said that if she periodically needed to work longer hours to take care of once in a while things like the cup holder, he could pay her more occasionally. The outcome? The cleaner's job greatly improved from that point forward, and she never once needed to put in extra time. Praise and expressions of appreciation for others' labor are kind, but they're also a clever method to ensure that they'll put up at least as much effort moving forward. Making new acquaintances and mending broken connections will become simpler for you if you can make it a habit. Try to comprehend the opinions of individuals around you if you want to have real influence. Everyone enjoys being heard, understood, and made to feel significant. You'll always win favor if you can accomplish these things for other people. What you should do to put the knowledge you've learned to use. Put forth a test. Try reawakening your employees' innate sense of rivalry if you find yourself trying to encourage them regularly and failing. All you have to do is figure up a means to evaluate your staff members' work, then publicly recognize the best performers. Very frequently, you won't even need to give out prizes. Sometimes, healthy competition is enough to wake up a dormant workforce. Thanks for watching.